Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're doing the Around the Verse recap and it was a pretty information dense episode, so bear with me. We'll be talking about the weapons pipeline, which is a very big aspect of this Around the Verse. We will be talking about the Spectrum update and we'll also be talking about the Austin Studio update. So let's get straight into it. The first pass of trade is getting into the game with the first round of shops. This will entail selling and buying. They are now working on the basic commodity structure. Once this system is good on this small subset, more stuff will be added. Also, when you disrupt a supply lane, for example, you will be able to influence the prices due to supply and demand. What you actually see right here, like metalloid and antimatter and hydrocarbon, that's basically all the commodities they're dealing with right now. So that's pretty interesting to actually, trade that and maybe harvest that, since 3.0 and 3.1 are a little bit into each other right now. Also, in the next major release, there will be a new station type, which is called the truck stop, which is being worked on right now by the Frankfurt design team. Also, there will be another shop, which is called the admin office, which will mostly focus on export and import of resources. Basically a middleman between you and the store. At the start, the commodities will probably stay in their base range of value, and it might even be set by hand. So in the beginning, we can probably not influence the economy very much, since they're still touching the waters a little bit and see how it goes. So what you see right now, that's the admin office, which we can basically see some kiosks and stuff where we can sell our goods. So that's pretty interesting as well. Also on the art side, more location passes, which in the Austin team is working on. And also they're working on Squadron 42 of course. Also some general optimizations and polish passes, for example fixing a strobe lightning bug in the Retaliator. So here is the art, which is looking gorgeous, I have to admit. It really looks awesome. And here we got the Drake Cutlass. The Drake Cutlass is getting a great treatment right now, with the interior getting some love and the outside of the ship moving into the stage where they add primary and secondary details. Also, if you want to know more on the Cutlass, a card is popping up right now for you, and you can actually see what the Cutlass was like before. And here we got the Miss Prospector, which is wrapping up Grey Fox phase as we speak. And here we got the Drake Buccanneer, which is finalizing all Drake Buccanneer animations. So I'm kind of expecting that anytime soon, but it looks good already. Also on the animation side, they started researching better ways to implement their 100 of animations, or even more. There's literally thousands of animations in Star Citizen. So also they have a sweet animation for eating in the Idris mess hall, which you can see right now. It's basically the NPC standing up, sitting down and taking their drinks and whatever, and it all has to look as natural as possible. So here we got the Spectrum update right now. Spectrum, currently they are working on a feature parity with the current forums on the CIG website. They hope they can keep up and release a new version of Spectrum every 2 weeks. Thumbnails on the thread list is on the short term as well. Also in the midterm they will implement a mobile app support. Initially they would like native support for iOS and Android, and if it all goes well they might support Windows Mobile as well. In the long term we have voice over IP support. They are currently working on a simple voice chat. They want to get features in fast with Spectrum and then further iterate on it instead of waiting for a long time. But that's kind of contradicted, because they actually say voice over IP is in the long term, but then he says, okay, we want to have voice over IP in the short term because we don't want to wait a long time. Well, that's a little bit, I don't know what to think about that, but if he says that's in the long term, then perhaps 3.0 is even farther away than we think. So they also want to implement a commander channel and a squadron channel in voice over IP, so there is an easy hierarchy. They probably do this in the second stage of Spectrum. Other stuff which is in the longer horizon is desktop support, of course, which will come with their Delta patcher as well. And I expect that this will launch with 3.0, and that's actually really on the longer term, so that's going to be interesting how that turns out. So 3.0 is probably a long time away. Other stuff which is in the okay, and since it's on the longer horizon, who knows how long that horizon could be. So now we'll be talking about the weapon development. First, the weapon will have high level write up what they are starting with, which you can see right now. Basically document which there is a high level about, okay, this is what the weapon needs to do, this is what role the weapon needs to fill. So they used the bearing P8 as the gold standard, so that's might be pretty interesting. Like they said, the Retaliator was the gold standard for multi-crew ships. I'm not really convinced by that, but anyways, they said the P8 is the gold standard for now. As soon as they get the concept of the guns, they compare it with replicas they have in the office. So they basically have some replicas. I'm not sure if it's like an airsoft gun or like a real replica. I guess it's a real replica. And as you can see, they also try more variations. But they get a real replica and they check about like, okay, what is the size of the gun? Is it really like a real? Does it feel like a real gun? Does it does it compare to a real gun in real life? So that's pretty important, because all those animations are pretty much like real life as well in Star Citizen, so it has to fit. Like the trigger has to be the same like in real life, and it has to fit for the finger on your character as well. So that's really important that all those functionalities are there and it actually works. After that, they make a blockout, which is a pre-visualization like you see right now. This is basically to see the weapon and how it's going to be. After gathering all the info, they set up a render mesh, and the third step is the optimization of the level of details. They also make a character definition file which contains 4 different types. So they make a skeleton plus the physics. The second file is a skin file plus the deformation. The third one is a static geometry. And the fourth is a null attachment helpers plus the VFX. So pretty cool. And as you can see right now, they're just testing the animations. They tested with the first person and the third person. For example, if they didn't do that and you reload the gun and your gun goes out of the screen, you can't really see that you're reloading. So it's important that your gun stays on your side when you're reloading, so you actually get a feel like, okay, my gun is not gone, my gun is actually reloading. So that's really important, because all those animations are really just the same from third person and first person, which is not really being done by any other games out there. When that is done, then they can create another file which is called character parameters, where they connect the animation database to the skeleton. Then they can go in and start exporting the animations. So that's very interesting as well. There's quite a few steps in this process, and if you even like to hear everything the developers want to talk about, you can actually watch the Around the Verse as well, but I covered pretty much a lot of it. Also, I still have to say this, the server engineers, which is actually worked on as well. The server engineers support both live and upcoming 2.6.2 right now. They're also working on a friend system, which should help with online and offline statement notifications and receiving invitations. They also focused on the backend diffusing architecture. This will result in highly scalable servers. All the current backend servers have been updated to run on Diffusion Core. They also finished the Diffusion Gateway, which is a way for Spectrum and other services to interact with the Diffusion Core. I think this has to do with the Spectrum giving out locations of players, localized voice over IP, and for example the star map being used as a planet. So here is he still going on with the animations right there. Basically here you see they have to start with grip. How does the character hold the gun? Does it look naturally? Does it look effective? Is it really how they want it to feel? So that's really important in the process of creating the gun. Also, as you can see right now, if you're standing up and you're reloading, it's not the same as you are actually on the ground and then reloading, because there's not a lot of space to actually reload. So they have to make all those animations separately. So if you crouch, you have a different loading animation, and you see a different kind of reloading animation through your first person character. And also if you crouch, it's a little bit different. As you can see right now, they add more details over time. As if the weapon progresses through the pipeline, is really important. They get those details added in, and this actually even casts shadows, which is really nice attention to detail. Also, they work on the dirt things, like you can see right now. This is basically Photoshop, and they can apply it, or even it can be a photo reference. They can apply it on the gun to show wear and tear, which looks really cool and really adds to the immersion of the game. So for example, if your gun gets pretty old, it has more wear and tear, and if you clean it up a lot, it doesn't have as much as wear and tear. Also, here you see a muzzle flash, which is really nice, because all the guns have a different muzzle flash, which is important to have a distinct feeling of a gun and see what you're up against, and of course what you're handling. And here you see different impact effects per surface, which is awesome, really. So if you shoot on ice, you will actually see ice blowing up, and if you shoot metal, you see metal sparks and stuff, which is really cool. Also, it talks a little bit about the sound. There's lots of different sound effects changing changing from what perspective you are looking at the gun. So, for example, a gun sounds different when you're in the third person, and a gun sounds different when you're in the first person. Also, it matters how far away you are and what kind of room you are. So there's a lot of layers there, and there's a lot of variables. So that's pretty important in the sound design of Star Citizen. So this was the recap for this week already. I thank you all for watching, and if you'd like to see more, you can click on the left right here to see the latest around the verse from last week, and you can click on the right here to see the Citizen Condemner, which is still the most awesome we have seen. So thank you all for watching, and until next time.